Hello, spirits and spaceships. My name is TBSky, and welcome back to Final Fantasy VII. Now, you may remember that the previous video ended with a slightly unusual edit because, well, what's about to be happening next in this game is kind of special to me, and I wanted it to be its own self-contained video. Anyway, the Ultima weapon attacked Medial and destroyed the clinic where Cloud was being treated, and Cloud and Tifa have fallen into the lifestream. Let's see what happens now. Welcome to the live stream. And welcome also to the best scenes in the entire game, or at least the best characterization. Where am I? What's happened to me? Cloud? Where's Cloud? Huh? What? Who? Who is it? I can't hear you. Wait a minute. I don't know anything about that. You're wrong. That wasn't me. I'd never do anything like that. No, stop. Stay back. Somebody help, please. Welcome to the live stream. Cloud, help me. Where am I? Cloud? What's happened, Cloud? Where the heck are we? Are we inside your dreams? Or is this your mind? You're searching, aren't you? Searching for yourself. I'll help you. We'll work together and get the real you back. But where do we start? So I've talked before about the way, and there's no combat or anything in here. I've talked before about the ways in which Cloud is dissimilar from your typical JRPG protagonist. And these scenes are probably the best examination of why. Secret wishes sealed away. All those tender feelings that no one knew. That starry night by the water tower. The promise we made? What if it was all just made up? The gates of Nibelheim. 5 years ago, Sephiroth and I passed under these gates. And that's how it all started. So this leads to Nibelheim. Yeah, it's probably best that we start there. Let's take a look, Cloud. I know it's not easy, but I'm here with you. So this scene repeats several times over the course of the story, as I'm sure you've noticed. Once, when Cloud gives you the first flashback, when he tells you what happened at Nibelheim that he remembers at the start of the game. The next time it happens is Sephiroth showing you, big air quotes, the truth, which is what breaks Cloud in half, because this is the thing that Sephiroth uses to completely shatter his mind and turn him into the husk that he's become now. And then there's now. Cloud, look. Here's the water tower. And the old guy's in. The only truck in the village. It's been here since we were kids, right? This is the Nibelheim you remember. It's the same as my Nibelheim. That's why this is our Nibelheim. "5 years ago, 2 men from Soldier came here. Sephiroth and a young, cheerful soldier. Can you tell me again what happened?"
How does it feel?
5 years ago. That's when I saw the real Sephiroth for the first time.
It's been a while since you've been back in your hometown, right? So how does it feel? I wouldn't know. I don't have a hometown.
And your parents? This is the hero Sephiroth?
My mother was called Genova. She died giving birth to me. My father...
You're the greatest soldier. Your idol. But, to tell the truth, he came across as rather cold.
What am I saying? All right, let's go.
I remember feeling a strong sense of foreboding about him. No, Cloud. I've been too afraid to say anything. I've been hiding it. All along. But I won't this time. You weren't there. Cloud, you didn't come to Nibelheim 5 years ago. I waited, you know. But you never came. The 2 dispatched were Sephiroth and someone else.
All right, let's go. Hello, Sack.
You mean the member of Soldier who left for Nibelheim with Sephiroth? Wasn't me? I'm not going to say any more. You must find the answer yourself. If you can't, you'll... Take your time, Cloud. Slowly. Little by little, okay?
Cloud has constructed a fake memory of what happened in Nibelheim. But he's done that for a couple of reasons. The main reason, of course, being to cope with trauma, but also to cope with something that's gone wrong much, much, much earlier with him, and which he has already talked about. And I'll get more into that as we progress.
That starry night by the water tower. The promises we made? What if it was all just made up? Don't be impatient, Cloud. You have to stop chasing yourself if you want the answer. Try going back. Piece together all of those little memories. Slowly. Little by little. Like the stars which filled the sky that night.
I'm so happy to see that in the remake, at least the footage they've shown of us, they seem to understand how fucking important this scene is.
From the beginning, okay?
Like the water tower scene. Because it is utterly crucial to Cloud's emotional arc.
Try and remember. That's right. I was wearing those clothes.
Yeah, that's right too. You were pretty short back then. And cute. Sephiroth said that you created your memories by basing them on my stories. The Starry Night Sky. You mentioned that first, remember? The stars were so beautiful. We talked at the water tower, just you and I. That's why I kept believing that you were the same Cloud. And I still do. I believe you're the Cloud from Nibelheim. But you don't believe it. This memory isn't enough. Cloud, what about your other memories? No, not memories. A memory is something that's consciously recalled, right? That's why sometimes it can be wrong or become twisted. The memories that lie deep inside your heart are different. They tell the truth. If you're able to recall those memories, then... That's it! What about a memory that's connected with me? Rather than remembering something I said, why don't you say something? And I'll see if I remember it. If I can, then the memory must be... Talk to me. About anything. A memory that's important to you. Come to think of it, why did you want to join Soldier in the first place? I seem to remember it was a snap decision. I was devastated. I wanted to be noticed. I was frustrated. I wanted to be noticed. I was sure if I get stronger, I'd be respected. You wanted to be noticed? By who? Who? You know that already. By you, that's who. By you? Me? Why? Tifa, have you forgotten what happened back then? You... I'm sorry, I have no idea. No, it's alright. You were having a hard time. You had your hands full, so it's no surprise that you don't remember. What about back then? It's important to me. It may be a bitter memory, but it's still very important. Do you want to see it? Remember that child, by the way. The first time Cloud gets taken over by Sephiroth in the crater after the ancient temple has collapsed. That's the part of him that Sephiroth can't control. That's the part of him that Sephiroth can't twist or influence. And it's a pity that Cloud doesn't believe in that part of himself enough, like doesn't want to be that part of himself enough to resist what Sephiroth is doing to him. Cloud wanted to join Soldier, wanted to become strong like Sephiroth, because he thought that's what he was supposed to do to, you know, be a man, to be strong, to be admirable, to be respected. If I became strong, if I get strong, I'll be respected. And what does strength look like? Well, strength looks like Sephiroth. And that's why, as a way to cope with trauma, Cloud invents this false persona for himself, these false memories of, yeah, I was a soldier, yeah, I did it, I got there. Yeah, because that's a fantasy of strength to him. I became like Sephiroth. Yeah, I became a cool, strong soldier. Yeah. That's why it helps him cope with trauma, because that's what strength looks like to him. But we've seen Sephiroth now. Pretty strongly, we've seen him realize that he's not quite human and become completely fucking deranged by the realization and break into Genova's tank and, you know, all the shit he's done. So we know that the strength that Cloud was after wasn't good. Like, it wasn't healthy. It was, in fact, toxic. It was a masculine ideal
that was basically poisonous to him, and an idea of what it is to be a man that hurt him to try and pursue. It was a kind of masculinity which is toxic. I don't know. Maybe we have a term for that. I don't know. I don't know if there's any word for that kind of thing in the world, but it's basically it was a version of being a man, being strong, being a grown-up, which was painful and harmful to him, and ultimately almost destroys him completely as a human being. And I wonder what the cure for that might be.
You know where this window leads, don't you? All right, let's go.
Welcome to Tifa's room.
My room? It was my first time there. Was it? Really? Before that, I'd only ever looked up at it from the outside.
Hey, look! It's Cloud. You think he wants to come in?
So that was the first time you came into my room? Yeah, it was. I remember. Even though we lived next door to each other, I never really knew you that well. Funny. I've always thought we were close, that we were close since childhood. But I don't remember us hanging out. My memory of you begins at the water tower under the stars. Always the same trio. That's right. I thought you were idiots. What? You'd always burst into laughter at the smallest of things, like children. But we were children. I know. I was the idiot. I really wanted to play out with everyone, but you never asked me to join you. The more that went on, the more I thought I was different. Different from this bunch of immature kids. But maybe... just maybe someone might call out to me. I held on to that hope. That's why I hung around. I was miserable and weak. The night I asked you to meet me at the water tower, I thought you'd never show up. That you hated me. Yeah, it was a bit sudden. I was surprised. But you know, while it's true we weren't that close, after you left the village, I thought about you a lot. I used to wonder how you were doing, if you'd managed to enlist with Soldier. I started reading the newspapers, thinking I might see an article about you. Thanks, Tifa. Tell him what you've told me later. He'll be so happy. I will. Huh? Didn't something happen on this day? Something out of the ordinary? This was the day... your mother... Oh. The day Mom died. I want to see Mom. I wonder if there's anything beyond that mountain. Mount Nebel's scary. People have died there. The mountain that no one crosses alive. Well, what about the dead? Did my mom cross the mountain? I'm gonna go see. I don't remember how we got there. You missed your step. I ran to help you but didn't make it in time. You both fell off the cliff. Back then I only grazed my knees, but...
Cloud, why'd you bring Tifa to a place like this? What the hell were you thinking? What if she dies?
You were out cold for 7 days. I didn't think you'd make it. If only I'd been able to save you. I was so frustrated and angry that I'd been too weak to do anything. After that, I always felt as though you blamed me for what happened. I went out of control. I got into fights with anyone and everyone. Then I heard about Sephiroth. And I wanted to be like him. If I were strong like Sephiroth, everyone would... If I could just get stronger, even Tifa would have to notice me. By the way, the Jungian implications of Cloud being there and then a shadow version of himself, yeah, I'm well aware of them. There's a lot of psychological imagery going on here. So that's how it was. I'm so sorry, Cloud. If I'd remember what happened back then, I could have done something sooner. It's not your fault, Tifa, it's mine. But that's when we were 8. Hey, I've got it. You weren't created 5 years ago. My childhood memories can't possibly be made up. Hang in there, Cloud. Just a little longer. We're so close to finding the real you. Let's go back to Nibelheim one more time. I want to say more, but I'll leave it for a bit. The truth is there. The answer's right in front of us. Cloud, wait. Where? Where are you going? Mako reactor. The Mako reactor of 5 years ago. Hey, that isn't you. Zack, you remembered. That's right. It was Zack who came to Nibelheim with Sephiroth. Then, where were you, Cloud? Did you see this? I saw it. Who are you? Mother, chief of the village, give them back. I respected you. I admired you. Cloud? So that's what happened. You were with me. You were watching over me. Yeah, I remember. So, that was you. Hey, Cloud. If you aren't feeling well, why don't you rest? Yeah. Yeah. This is me. I never made it into soldier. I told everyone I would before I left the village. I felt so ashamed I didn't want anyone to see me. How does it feel? It's been a while since you were back in your hometown, right? You did come. You did keep your promise. You really did come when I was in a bind. Sorry, I didn't get there sooner. It's alright, Cloud. Did you honestly think the likes of you could... That's Genova's head he's carrying there. Cloud. Sephiroth. Finish him. Sephiroth! Don't push your luck. It can't be. And that's how Sephiroth first entered the lifestream, along with the head of Genova. Cloud, I have to say goodbye now, so we can meet again. What? Cloud! Oh. Tifa. Oh, Cloud, it really is you. Hello, Tifa. We meet again at last. You stupid jerk, you had us all worried sick. Ugh. Cloud, are you alright? Their voices. Oh yeah, we're in the lifestream. Everyone's waiting. Let's go back, Cloud. Let's go back to everyone. Yeah, we'll go back together.
Hey, you alright? Tifa.
Barret, I came back. What about Cloud? Is he alright?
Yeah, don't worry about him. He's tough, that one.
Barret, I found the real Cloud when I was in the lifestream. Well, it wasn't me that found him. Cloud, he did it all on his own.
Yeah, I shouldn't have doubted him. He gave in to you, though. You're one hell of a woman.
I guess people have so many things pent up inside. So many things they're forgotten. Strange, isn't it?
Yo, Tifa, snap out of it. Tifa!
Everyone, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. It's okay, Cloud. All you've been doing lately is apologizing. I never was in Soldier. The events from 5 years ago, all the stuff about Soldier, it was an illusion that I created. I left my village looking for glory but never made it. I was ashamed of being so weak. Then I heard Zack talking about himself. I mixed his life with my own and created a fantasy. I've been trapped in it ever since.
An illusion. Sure had me fooled.
Physically, I'm very similar to someone in Soldier. Hojo Sephiroth copies are nothing special. The process used to create them is identical to the one that's used on members of Soldier. You see, those who are a good prospect for Soldier aren't just irradiated with Mako. Their bodies are actually injected with Genova cells. For better or worse, only the strong-willed are chosen. This has nothing to do with Genova's reunion, either. It's just that if the process is used on someone who's weak-willed, like me, they lose themselves. A man born from Genova cells, Sephiroth's will, and his own weakness. That's the Cloud that you all knew. The master of my own illusionary world. But I don't need illusions anymore. It's time to stop living a lie and start being myself. You mean the stubborn, moody Cloud, right?
Some change, that is.
Cloud, what are your plans? I hope you're not thinking of leaving us. I'm the reason Meteor is hurtling towards us. If there's anything I can do to help, I'll do it.
Yeah, so you're gonna carry on fighting for the planet?
It's like you always said, Barret.
Damn straight.
What? I don't understand.
There ain't no getting off of this train we're on.
Big laugh moment, everybody hugs. Welcome back, Cloud Strife. Let's get a ribbon on you. And maybe the Aurora bracelet while we're at it. Cloud? Cloud, I was deeply moved by your story. I'm kind of weak myself, so I know how you feel. No one knows when the fighting will begin, so let's get ready. Listen, Cloud, we're in the middle of the huge materia mission, right? And I didn't want to rush you or anything, but there's still the undersea mecha reactor in Junon. As far as I know, that's the only one left. How about we head out there? So for the moment, since this video has already gone substantially over an hour, I'm gonna go and save. And then we'll spend a bit more time talking. Or, yeah. Yeah, alright, let's talk a little bit about Cloud. See, this is one of the reasons why he's a very important character to me. Because it's one of the first stories I think I ever experienced where the explicit theme of the story is that if you don't have a great sense of yourself, if you have low self-esteem, if you are, as it were, as Cloud describes himself, weak-willed in some way or another, you are vulnerable to getting possessed, literally possessed, by certain toxic ideas and ideals, which aren't fully your own, like something that you didn't really put into your own head, but which comes in from the outside and takes the place of confidence, of self-esteem, of, you know, the ability to care for yourself. And this story literalizes that idea very, very strongly. Like, this is why Sephiroth is able to control Cloud, is because Cloud lives a lie in order to protect himself emotionally. Like, he mixes Zack's life up with his own because he thinks, like, being me sucks. Like, I suck. I'm not good enough. I need to be someone else. And because that's a lie, he's vulnerable to being directly and very literally controlled by, you know, a stronger personality, someone who does have a stronger sense of themselves. Which Sephiroth is. Like, he's very much that. In fact, Sephiroth has nothing but a sense of himself. He's a complete and utter toxic, poisonous narcissist. Which maybe he doesn't start out that way. Like, maybe he isn't that in Nibelheim at first. But as he begins to realize that, like, because it's the same thing with Sephiroth. Like, Sephiroth labors under the misapprehension that he's fully human. But once Sephiroth realizes that he's been living a lie, he starts to break down as well. But he breaks down in such a way that he becomes a complete... that he latches onto this idea that he's an ancient, that he's special, that there's a reason for all this, and it's because I'm the special one who's gonna save the world. And poor Genova, who was my mom, and like, he makes up all of these explanations, just like Cloud does. Like, Sephiroth creates a illusory idea of himself that allows him to deal with the trauma of realizing that, oh hey, he's an engineered human being. And Cloud does the same thing, which is why he's vulnerable to Sephiroth's manipulations. Because Sephiroth isn't an ancient. He's just a child who was created to be the perfect soldier. He's an engineered super soldier, full of Genova cells. And ultimately what Genova is a cancer on the planet. Like, that's very much how she's realized. That's why she has this like body horror, like, horrifying design, especially when you look at the footage of her in the remake. You can see that she's very much inspired from, like, an out-of-control cancer growth that feeds on the planet, like that feeds on the planet. And Sephiroth becomes that as well when he falls into the lifestream carrying the head of Genova. That's when he gets fully possessed and taken over by her cells. Like, so Jenova is ultimately the evil that's being fought here, and a parasite that wants to suck life out of the planet and like absorb it into herself. That's what Jenova fundamentally is. She's a cosmic parasite. She latches onto planets, she eats their energy, she moves on. She's the calamity from the sky. Sephiroth, in latching onto, like, because he can't face the reality of who he is, Jenova takes him over and starts using him to do what it is that it wants to do, which is to, as Sephiroth is doing, cause a huge wound in the planet, put himself at the center and absorb all of the energy. So he too becomes a cancer on the planet. Just like Jenova is, and just like the Shinra company is. Remember how we talked about at Fort Condor, how the Mako reactor there looks kind of like a tick, burying itself into the planet, sucking out the energy? Yeah, that's not coincidental. Like, the Shinra company also is a leech. It's a parasite that sucks life out of the planet and out of the people who live within Midgar and out of anyone who can give them anything, and just absorbs all of that for itself, regardless of the consequences or the harms that it does to others. And that's the pattern of behavior, that toxic pattern of parasitical narcissist behavior is the enemy in the game. And what it creates, like these patterns of self-centered self-preservation, is people like Sephiroth. It creates companies like Shinra, it creates creatures like Jenova, and it creates people like Cloud, like, who aren't, as it were, strong enough to fully embrace the narcissist fantasy, but who are still hurt by it, even though they're not the ones who are, like, he's not a parasite, but he's affected by that mode of living, that way of behaving, that he tries to steal Zack's life for himself, essentially, and that doesn't work out so well for him. Like, and that's what makes Final Fantasy VII a really complex game to me, is that it deals with, very explicitly, with these ideas in a very thoughtful way. Like, the whole sequence inside Cloud's head and the whole psychological healing thing is very psychotherapy, and it's a little bit hammy. Like, it's a little bit cheesy in its way, like, especially at the end where Cloud sort of, he has put himself back together, literally, and then he absorbs the different versions of himself and so on. Like, that's all very cheesy and stereotypical, but, like, it's also something that I certainly remember for myself as a you heard how Cloud talked during the scene in Tifa's childhood. Like, I thought all those other kids were stupid, and I'm different because I don't laugh at stupid kid things, and I'm like, that attitude. Yeah, I had that when I was a kid. Holy shit, did I have that attitude when I was a kid? Because I felt like an outsider. So eventually, that sense of feeling like an outsider transformed into a feeling of superiority. Like, oh, and for me, it was like, oh, I'm intellectually superior to all those. Like, oh yeah, they listen to pop music and read stupid books while I read the smart books, and I listen to whatever the fuck, classical music and like classic rock and stuff. And I thought that, like, again, as a replacement for actually liking myself, I started to inject these superiority complexes, kind of just like how Sephiroth talks about, oh, I always felt different ever since I was a child. And he has a reason to feel different. He was a genetically engineered super soldier, but he does the same thing, right? Like, he has felt different and alienated all his life, and so he decides that's not because, like, maybe I'm a little bit cold, or maybe I'm unapproachable, or maybe I could do anything whatsoever to improve on myself. It's because I'm special. Oh, I'm special. I'm an ancient. No, wait, I'm the child of Jenova, and I'm gonna be a god and live at the center of the planet, and everything is going to be part of me. Like that. It didn't start as that god delusion narcissism. That's not where Sephiroth started. But that's where going on that path of, well, I mean, if I feel different, if I feel insecure, if I feel scared and unworthy, that's other people's fault. It's never my fault. Like, it's that the refusal to take responsibility for yourself, that men are very much socialized to behave that way, especially. Like, we are. We're socialized to behave that way a lot. And it's toxic. That's what toxic masculinity is. It's a mode of being a man that hurts you. Like, that isn't healthy, that hurts you. Not to say that being a man is toxic, but there are versions of being a man that are very, very poisonous, and Final Fantasy VII deals with those explicitly, and it doesn't let Cloud off the hook. Like, it's not like, oh, Sephiroth just mind controlled you, you're fine, you didn't do anything wrong. No, Cloud created the environment in his own head where Sephiroth can flourish. Like, yeah, you can understand why a kid would do that, of course. Like, he was just a child. It wasn't his fault as such, but he had a responsibility to maybe grow out of that, to grow up a little bit, which was something that he never really managed to do. He's not a bad person, but he has very bad patterns of behavior ingrained into him. And that's what's hurting him. That's what's causing all of this misery. And again, Final Fantasy VII deals with that in very explicit terms. And this is the thing that worries me about the remake, is like, how much does the remake understand that? Like, how much does the remake understand that that is at the heart of the relationship between Cloud and Sephiroth, is that Cloud aspired to be Sephiroth, but being Sephiroth is really toxic and poisonous and dangerous, and you don't want to do that because he's not a good thing to try and live up to. And I hope the remake gets that part right. Like, presumably we won't get to that in the first of the remake games. That'll be somewhere later on down the line. But that's something that's very important to me personally, at least, about this game and about this story. Anyway, we've almost gone an hour and a half, which is certainly far longer than I would have liked to go. So, if you've enjoyed hanging out in the world of Final Fantasy VII with me and listening to my blabber on about some of the themes that are going on here, maybe I'll turn that into a more cohesive video essay at some point, then I very much encourage you to hit the like, comment, and subscribe buttons down below. Maybe the bell icon as well, because, well, YouTube actually tracks how many people hit the bell icon, so that's another number that needs to go up. Otherwise, YouTube thinks my channel is dead, and then they come to kill me in my home, in my sleep. Like, they put a pillow over your head and just smother you to death while whispering subscriber numbers in your ear. That's probably true, definitely not something I just made up. Also, Patreon, merchandise store, and tip jar, I have all of those. If you want to avail yourself of them, feel free to do so. And if not, that's completely fine. I'm just glad that you watched the video this far. And I hope to see you back in the world of Final Fantasy VII in the next episode, where we probably won't end with like a 15-minute ramble on about the meanings of the game. But honestly, no promises. The end of this game gets a little bit dense.